Hello everybody, welcome to the NPTEL course on Customer Relationship Management. This is Dr. Shagata Chatterjee from Vijayasoma IIT Kharagpur who is taking this course. We are in week 1 and we are discussing module 1, the strategic imperative of customer relationship management. So, in the last video I was discussing about what are the growth factors of CRM, and in this particular session I will also focus on the challenges of CRM. So, what are the various things which impact CRM in a negatively. So, one of the major challenges of CRM as a strategy is the non-traditional competition. So, oftentimes that there are new entrants from outside the industry which can change the industry like anything. For example, the classic example that we take is like the watch industry, the HMTs of the world has changed or probably have washed out from the market, or the Kodaks of the world has washed out from the market because there is an alternative technology that comes up. So, sometimes that becomes a huge challenge for adopting a CRM, because if let us say you have invested a lot in CRM and you expect that this CRM strategy will give me some money back over 10 years, nobody knows whether you live for 10 years as a business. Nobody knows whether a technology change comes and you get washed off in 10 years. So, the exit will be very painful in that case, because you have already invested on something which will only make money over a longer period of time, and now you have to exit. So, what happens to that already made investments? So, that is a challenge. Then comes the substitute technology. Obviously, again as I was telling that technological development will actually change the market. Similarly, the new entrants will change the market. Oftentimes new entrants come with a substitute technology where your technology becomes obsolete. So, when that happens, obviously that is a challenge, because non-traditional competition will always focus on whether your company will live for a longer period of time or not. So, that becomes a challenge for your company's lifetime. So, that is an issue. Then oftentimes we have seen that supplier becomes a competitor, because supplier generally create a classic example will be the supplier of Apple. So, supplier of iPhones for various parts, there were certain companies which were supplying, and then they started making their own mobile phones which were absolutely similar to iPhone in terms of the quality and etc. But they did not have the brand name initially. But over a period of time they created their own brand names also, and now they are competing with iPhone probably even in the price range. So, I will be giving you the similar product, but a little bit lesser price, 5,000 rupees less price or 10,000 rupees less price, same product. So, that kind of a competition also is coming in, which also impacts CRM, and sometimes customer becomes a competitor also. So, oftentimes in this co-creation market where I am saying that you have to deal with the customer, you have to live with the customer for a longer period of time. Like you know the customer also starts knowing you, and then oftentimes customer develop their own product, and which can be your competitor. There can be classic examples for that also. For example, for quite longer period of time, the SAP ERPs were used by various customers, and then customers created their own ERP systems, and now they are selling those ERP systems which are competition to SAP systems, because your customer knows what you can do, what you cannot do, and if that kind of knowledge customer generates, then the customer can create their own product. So, basically in a CRM strategy, you have to always keep your antenna high, because you have to think that I am making a huge investment. So, I have to be always risk averse, or I have to think that from which corner the risk will come, and the risk can come from your supplier, risk can come from your competitor, risk can come from your customer also. So, all of these things are threats or challenges for CRM. Then another challenge is market maturity. So, as the customers becomes mature, as the markets becomes mature, the applicability of CRM becomes high. But if it has already matured, then probably that is the time period when you reap the benefits of CRM. You generally probably sow the seeds of CRM when the market is not mature. So, you will generate customer base, you will acquire customer and keep them with you when the market is new, and you will reap the benefits when the market has already matured. If the market has already matured, at that point of time you are doing CRM activities, does not work. Classic examples will be like let us say Uber or Ola and etc. So, Uber and Ola, you will know that when the market was not mature, they were focusing on your habit forming kind of a strategies. They were giving lots of coupons, lots of benefits, so that you use this particular thing better. And for all types of travels, whether you are traveling 2 kilometers or 20 kilometers, whether you are traveling within your city or outside your city, they created such an atmosphere that you travel, you have to think about Ola or Uber. You have to search Ola and Uber, check the prices, then only you can go in somewhere else. So, that is where they focus at the early periods. And now the market of shared cabs or probably any kind of call cabs or mobile app based cab services is matured, and now they are reaping it. Now they are reaping the benefit of the customer base that they have created. Now they are not giving any more discounts, but they are coming up with discounts in newer markets when they are spreading all over India in smaller cities also. But in the metro cities, they are not giving any such discounts anymore. Now, if another company tries to come in, they cannot create customer base, they cannot do customer relationship management, because the market is already mature and settled. So, you in your mind always know that I prefer Ola over Uber or Uber over Ola. So, that kind of maturity you have already generated, you have settled with your service provider. So, penetrating in that market becomes very difficult, because you cannot use CRM strategies in a mature market. So, you can only reap the benefits of CRM strategies in a mature market. So, that is also a challenge. And then the third challenge is a misalignment between the revenue and profit. So, oftentimes CRM strategy generates revenue a lot, because you have kept lots of customers for longer period of time, but keeping the customer for a longer period of time often is associated with costs also. So, you have to check that your cost is coming down over time. If the cost is not coming down over time in the relationship, then that relationship, managing that relationship or keeping that relationship is very difficult. If the cost is going up over and over time in any relationship, even in human relationships, then keeping that particular thing is difficult. So, you have to think that even if your revenue is going up, your cost, if revenue goes up, goes down, whatever happens, your cost must come down. If that does not happen for an individual customer, then your CRM strategies is not working well. So, basically these three things, the non-traditional competition, the market maturity and the misalignment of the revenue and profits are the major drivers, or I would say major challenges of CRMs. So, major threats or challenges or barriers of CRM as a strategy. So, when people talk about this, so for example, let us say this is a revenue profit misalignment which I have taken from Seth and Sisodia 1999 paper, which talks about how the revenue and profit are misaligned. So, you see that here the revenue per customer revenue for the initially there is a non-traditional customer, you will see here at this space. So, when the non-traditional competition is coming up and you take customer relationship strategy, this is the unit per dollar. In the y axis it is unit per dollar, and the x axis it is basically the biggest customer and the smallest customers. So, as you do customer relationship management, and when you do customer relationship management, more customer stays with you. So, if more customer stays with you, the per customer cost will be higher. So, for the smallest customers, you will see that the revenues are much lower, and the biggest customers, when the customers are big, the revenues are much higher. You make lots of profit. So, this is the profit unit per dollar. So, here in this particular curve, which is coming down very sharp, is talking about the profitability of the customers, how much they are how much, sorry, revenues of the customers, how much revenues they are generating. This particular curve is saying that the smaller customers are not giving you enough profit, and the higher customers are giving you, the bigger customers are giving you enough profit. And this is the cost and the level in through which the economies of scale that you generally get over a cost reduction, over the increase of customers, is not in that speed. The I would say the curve's slope is low. Here the slope is much high. So, when the slope is low here, we have to decide that at what point, because after this customer, all their right side customers are basically less profitable. So, there has to be a cutoff of customer after which you will not apply your customer relationship management strategy. So, in other words, you do not apply CRM to all, you apply CRM to only those kind of people for whom applying CRM corresponding cost will be lower than the revenue. So, a classic example is, have you heard about Airtel increasing the minimum recharge that is required from 0 rupees to 29 rupees. If I am not wrong, these values might be different, but something like that they did. So, when you do something like that, that means what? So, there are quite a few people who are not recharging at all, who are, let us say, working in some place, and there is a, in their home they have kept a number, and they just give a missed call to the home, and the person in the home will call them, or the other way, the home will give in the missed call and they will call them. So, so now you just imagine that if only one number recharges and another number just gives missed call, that is enough. It has to be alive over a month, and a single number recharges as per the talk time and etc., whatever discussion they do, but another number just remains alive, and the cost of remaining alive for a free SIM was 0 rupees. So, now they have shifted from 0 rupees to 29 rupees. Many customers who are not profit making customers will go away. Now, why that is ethical? Probably because they have come for business. Now, in a place where there is a locality which is a village, let us say, which is a rural area, the income is low probably, or people is following this kind of a strategy, but whether they follow this kind of strategy or not, the connectivity has to be there. You have to maintain a tower there also, so that the connection happens. You cannot say that okay, here the revenue is low, that is why I will not put. So, if you have to maintain a connectivity, if you have to maintain I would say a tower there, at least that much revenue should happen, that will ensure that your cost, this is your cost gets, I would say, covered. So, if the cost is not covered, then keeping those kind of customers does not make sense. So, oftentimes this revenue and the cost is not aligned, or I would say revenue and profit is not aligned, and that is something we have to take care. So, in this dilemma of drivers and barriers of CRM, another key strategic question comes up is, why should a company adopt CRM strategy? So, one is that the major thing is that the customer expectations are rising. So, increasing affluence in the emerging markets. So, people are getting more money in their hand, as I was telling. So, people are getting more money because the industry is booming. Now, there is some recession coming, that is why probably there will be some amount of effect on poverty level, some amount of effect in generic economic structure, but for a quite long time, for the last 20 years, India's economy is growing pretty well, and that is true for many other places. So, in that case, the affluence in the emerging market is coming up. So, people have money in their hand. They have greater awareness also, because they have internet, they know which other companies are giving better services, or they generally talk with other customers also. Let us say I faced a bad experience, I will talk with my friends and probably my followers and my social connections that this particular thing guy is not doing good job. So, the moment you do that, your customer people get aware about the company, their good deeds and the bad deeds, and when people become aware about the good deeds and bad deeds, that affects customer expectations, and in turn that affects the CRM strategy. So, you have to adopt CRM so that that kind of things can be managed, and also customer heterogeneity. So, you cannot any more give one medicine fits all kind of a strategy. You cannot adopt, because every customer is different. Now, if every customer is different, then you have to know every customer to cater to every customer. So, if you have to know every customer, you have to adopt customer relationship management strategy, because otherwise you will not know the individual purchase pattern of every person. Now, in today's world, Amazon and Google are fighting with each other over data, over how much data they have captured about you. The Facebook and Google and Amazon are actually fighting because they know that what you are, who you are, what are your likes and dislikes. That information is basically the strength, that information is power, because unless they know you, unless they capture the customer heterogeneity, they will create one single service or product and try to sell it to many people, which is not happening anymore. We are focusing on micro targeting, or we call it micro segmentation. So, that is also coming up. For that, CRM data set is important. The second thing is the price, the cost of CRM. So, at a certain point of time, I have told that the Siebel and Oracle and SAP were the main CRM vendors. Now, all these companies were pretty costly, and that is why only the companies which has deep pocket, which could invest a lot for a long term relationship, could only invest on CRM strategies. But things have changed now. Now, with I would say with production, distribution, facilitation and consumption, basically there are 4 parts of affordable technology. So, technologies become affordable. There were more number of I would say companies, CRM companies that have come up, and probably people are also using pay as you go kind of pricing techniques. The pricing techniques have changed. It's such kind of pricing techniques have come up where people can use as their need. Means a small MSME company can probably use the lower package, and a person which is a huge company can buy a bigger package, or probably take a license for the whole company itself. So, those kind of affordability has come into the picture in the CRM technology, which is obviously I would say a big go ahead in terms of CRM adoption, because this particular affordability has come up. There should be less barriers in CRM adoption, and that is why you as a company should adopt CRM. What else? The implementation. The third one is implementation. So, development in IT and big data, which has improved. Choice of CRM has also improved, and connects multiple operations and processes. So, that is something also CRM is doing in today's world. So, CRM is not only customer management anymore. For a long time, so there is something called customer orientation or customer centricity, we call it customer centricity, which is a part of customer orientation, which says that to think about a customer is not only the marketing department's job, it is a job of everybody in your company. So, marketing, sales, production, IT, everybody, finance, everybody should think about the end customer, because until and unless the end customer is happy and you are making enough money from them, none of these particular industries make any particular departments make any sense. So, that is why this CRM strategies together, when we implement, we try to create a so for a very long period of time, this marketing and IT and production didn't used to talk with each other. So, the offices were in different locations, the production houses were in factories which are in remote locations, the marketing offices are in the central cities, and the person who is working in production didn't even know, in a bigger company, didn't even know who is the person who is working in marketing. So, that has changed. Now, with the implementation of CRM strategy, a factory which is located in a remote location can know that what kind of orders are coming up even before the marketing guy calls him or sends the order. So, the marketing guy can just put that this kind of order is coming up, or this kind of I would say inquiries are coming up in the CRM system, and the production office which is sitting in the remote location will have an idea that okay, these are the probable orders that will come. So, I can make this much of stock of product 1, stock of product 2, stock of product 3, I can make as per the anticipated orders that are coming up. It is still not there. So, all these things are in CRM system. So, IT implementation is actually connecting the marketing and the production offices together, which makes the adoption of CRM is almost an inevitable step in a strategic perspective. Now, we have talked about quite a bit about CRM. In the next few slides, I will discuss about the conceptual foundation of CRM. I have talked about customer relationship management, and I told that this is relationship management. You have to create a relationship with your customer. So, everybody knows there has to be some conceptual background of that also, and I will be discussing about that. So, as I was telling that for a quite long time, there was in the pre-industrial era, when the industrial revolution didn't happen, all the business were personal business only. So, the personal level credit worthiness. So, when the companies have not come up before the industrial revolution, when the individual, there is a pottery, let us say, or there is a mason, let us say, so who used to work, and there was not many organizations per se, they were all individual service providers or product developers. That economy was majorly, I would say, governed by personal relationships. So, the grocery person and the mason and the and let us say the carpenter within a community had interrelationship with each other, and those interrelationships led to, within a community based relationship was there, and that led to, so as I was told, relationship was center and relationship centric and small scale industry was there in majorly cases. But then the industry came in, the industrial revolution came in, and with the industrial revolution, with the steam engines and automation and this and that, there were major focus on production. People started that how I can produce a lot rather than focusing on how can leverage relationships a lot. And then in the information era, when production is okay, high, that is okay, but the information becomes strength again, as I was telling that. Now, the only difference between pre-industrial era and the information era, in both the cases this is high, the importance of customer relationship management is high, but the difference is this relationship is in large scale. So, previously we used to keep relationship with 4 5, just think about yourself, before the internet came in, you had let us say 10 friends, out of them 2 were best friends, or 1 was best friend or 2 were best friends, and there was always a quarrel between who is the best friend. But the number of friends were small, 10. But now we have 500, 1000 people in our Facebook profiles, and none of them are best friend probably, or very, your best friend might also be there, but the level of interaction that you used to have is not there, but the relationship is become large scale. And though you do not remember exactly what these guys work, exactly what these guys do, but it is a choice. If you want, you can find out. You can just go to his profile, you can skim through the profile, see what kind of posts he is making, what kind of things he is liking or disliking, and you will know in one probably 1 hour time that how he is, whether his life is good or bad, and etc. So, now we are creating relationship in a large scale. Previously, relationship was there in a small scale, and in between there was no relationship at all. So, that is how the customer relationship management has evolved over time. And we discussed about this thing, the re-emergence of the CRM. The re-emergence of the CRM over time has happened. One is because of advances of technology. We discussed about this. Intensive marketing competition. We have also discussed about this in the last video probably. And emergence of service economy is also. And the another important thing that comes up is adoption of total quality management. So, people have started thinking that you have to give me a end to end good quality, and end to end good quality means not only the product is good when the product selling is happening, but this is let us say the product selling, but your pre-sale experience should also be good and the post sales experience, that means your maintenance and other kind of experience should also be good. So, pre-sales, during product selling and post sales, every time there has to be that the persons will be different, the faces can be different, but the quality issues will be there, quality issues should not be there in any of these parts. So, that is the total quality management, and when you try to do that, you have to have an experience on CRM. So, that is why the CRM came in again when the total quality management became important even in the production sector. What are the benefits of CRM? One major benefit of CRM, and this is where I would probably try to discuss about some. There are lots of, I would say, CRM as a concept or CRM as a strategy. It has lots of similarity with human relationships. So, one of the major similarity with human relationship is that just think about that if you were in a relationship for 10 years, let us say you have you have a college sweetheart or a school level sweetheart with whom you have kept the relationship for a long period of time, and then you guys got married, or if you are a college student, then you probably not married. But if you are not a college student, if you have evolved from being a college student and now you are working, then probably you got married and having a long term relationship. Just think about that the relationship is pretty long. You have sustained the relationship for quite a long time. Now, just do you think that the effort that you used to give to this relationship in the early days and the effort that you are giving today after 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, the effort that you have to put to sustain the relationship after 10 years of relationship, which effort is higher? So, at least from my personal experience, I can say that I have a pretty long relationship with my current wife, actually. So, I would say that the early days I had to give lot of effort, and she also had to give lot of effort, because we don't used to know each other, we have to know each other, we have to adjust with our differences, we have to bring in a homogeneity, and that kind of efforts were pretty high. And now after so many years, we were in a settled space and we are in the maturity space, and because we are in the maturity space, we do not have to put a lot of effort. So, one important benefit of having a long term relationship is to sustain the relationship for one more year, you do not have to put lot of effort. So, all I am trying to say is your marketing expenditure comes down. That is one of the major benefit of customer relationship. So, if you just think about your customers, there were some customers who are non-profitable, some customers are very profitable, and majorly customers are okay types of profitable customers, and these are the customers with whom you have to keep your, and this is time. You see that over time these guys become profitable, and why this becomes profitable? Now, you have to think about this thing very carefully, that profit is nothing but revenue minus cost. So, if I say that over time the profit goes up, then I am saying that revenue as a function of time goes up and cost as a function of time comes down. And that is what I just told, that cost as a function of time comes down, because you do not have to put lots of effort to keep this particular guy in your customer base. So, that is one important thing. Another important thing is that over time the revenue also goes up. Revenue also goes up. Why? Because revenue gets generated from multiple channels. If so, for example, Another example, if I come back to my relationship that I was talking about, human relationship. One is to sustain, you do not have to put much effort. Second is that if you want to be happy in a probably co-created environment, the chances of being happy much higher, because you know what I like, my wife knows what I like, I know what she likes, what kind of movies we will both enjoy, what kind of I would say places where we will both enjoy if we visit. So, that kind of knowledge has been created. We both know each other well now. So, if we both know each other well now, if I want to satisfy my wife or my wife wants to satisfy me, it becomes very easier, and the satisfaction levels, probably achieved satisfaction level is probably much higher, and that is applicable here as well. If you know what the customer wants and customer knows what you can give, then the expectation and whatever you are giving is matching, and satisfaction is always a function of what you perceive minus what you expect. And if these two matches, if these two things matches with each other, then obviously the satisfaction level will be high. The satisfaction level will be high means the revenue will be high. And this happens, this matching happens when customer and the company knows each other well, and that can only happen when they are there for quite a bit of time. So, that is how the customers become profitable in the long run. We will keep on discussing on this particular topic in the next session also. Be with us, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.